get into the game like it usually happens in the first 10 minutes. But, you know, even before Frankfurt scored, we still had that chance, didn't we, with Richarlison, where he really should have slotted that header into the back of the net. But the real calamity of errors really happened when we did give away that goal. And Eric Dyer, with such sloppy play, just basically passing it to Frankfurt. Lloris tries to get the ball away, can't really do it. But you got to have a look at Eric Dyer there. And what is that all about?
Well, I think to be fair to Dyer, I did think that Romero overhit the pass slightly, but just because he overhit the pass doesn't mean he had to take that heavy touch, and that heavy touch was obviously a consequence of that heavy touch was a consequence of the overhit pass, but it was really, really poor from Dyer, and there was not really too many excuses he can have, and I think that obviously put us in really, really big trouble, and then obviously we concede the first goal and we get off to the worst possible start. Thankfully, we've been very good at overturning these. We've been very good at overturning these bad starts when we've conceded the first goal at home. But it wasn't a great start at all whatsoever. And Frankfurt did start the game really well, and we started pretty sloppily. It wasn't great from us, and I think that's definitely something we got to work on, starting these games better, because it's happened way too often that we're too slow, we're too lethargic, we give the opposition too much control early doors, we're not aggressive enough, and we paid the price for it we paid the price for it early on. So that was the most disappointing thing with the start. In terms of the goal itself, Eric Dyer obviously was really sloppy for the goal, and then Hugo Lloris tried his best to save the situation. I see people blaming him for the first goal, but I think he did his best. He got a hand to it. He actually saved the situation momentarily before Frankfurt were able to, play around our defence and score an open goal. So I don't blame Hugo, but Eric Dyer and Romero were very, very sloppy for that goal, and that was really, really disappointing. But we did turn it around, and we were back in the lead in no time. So that was really, really positive.
Yeah, and I think that it really was the way we responded to going down. I know the first 10 minutes were horrible. We could have taken the lead, to be fair, before we did go 1-0 down. But once we responded, after we scored that goal, that equaliser, we had such total domination of that game, and I thought we played really well. Some really key performers out there. I thought Pierre-Emile Højbjerg once again was absolutely sensational, running things in the middle of the park. Sonny was back to his best. I mean, Kane, he played a really, Conte said he played a really specific role in the team yesterday, and I really noticed it yesterday because, especially in that first half, everything good that we were doing was all coming through Harry Kane, and he was like that hub of the team yesterday. And I thought he had a really good game, Harry Kane, yesterday, much better than it has been the past couple of weeks. And he really enabled Sonny to play as well as he did. And Sonny was literally at it all the time, running at the defence, causing no ends of problems. But like I said, like as soon as we scored that equaliser, it was total domination pretty much up until the last 10 minutes. And that domination, we probably should have we definitely should have killed the game a lot quicker than we did, really.
Yeah, if you bring up the phone, you can see. All right. So, okay, if you can see the progress bar here. Sorry about that, guys. The audio should be back now. The blue is Frankfurt. The green is Spurs. You can see here, first 15 minutes, Frankfurt got the goal, and they were very much on top for the early part. And then Tottenham pretty much dominated all the way up until that red card. You can see the red card here on the right-hand side. We've got obviously the 3 goals. And then once the red card comes, we completely drop off, and you can see that here pretty much in the progress bar, and that is really, really frustrating from a Spurs point of view. Why did we drop off so much after Frankfurt got sent off? And to be honest, Conte, I'm happy Conte took some blame, because I did think as much as the players were at fault for dropping off, I think him as well was at fault for maybe being too cautious and maybe thinking the game was done at 3-1 and down to 10 men, because I think his subs were a bit cautious. I think Spurs were playing in a cautious manner once that red card came, and what we should have done is really gone for the throat, because we started the second half really strongly, looking like we were going to kill the game, like looking for that fourth goal like as soon as possible, and it's almost as if that red card stopped our momentum in a weird way, because as soon as that red card came, we stopped pushing, we stopped being aggressive, and we just kind of, maybe it's understandable to conserve energy and all these kind of things, that's what people are saying, but why aren't we carrying on going for that fourth goal? And then once we get the fourth goal, then maybe you can take your foot off the gas and you can say, okay, the game's won now. But 3-1, everyone knows if they get a goal from somewhere, all of a sudden the dynamics change, and you're only one goal away from dropping the result. So I think Conte's subs, for me, bringing on that third midfielder at that time was wrong. And then he kind of screwed himself a bit, because once they scored a goal, then he needed the third midfielder, but the third midfielder was already off because he realised he had a problem and he changed it. So I think Conte probably got that wrong. I think the players need criticism for taking it so easy after a red card.
Seems like they thought the game was pretty much won already, and the game was over once that man was sent off. It seems like they took their foot off the gas. You know, it got a bit to their heads yesterday about how dominant we actually were, and the game. It seemed as though the game was already done, and you can't really take that attitude in the Champions League. You know, every team in the Champions League is going to be a decent side. So even when you're not playing decent sides, you can't take your foot off the gas, and that's what we did. And that's what we did. And I think Conte was talking about big lessons to be learned from yesterday, and I think that's exactly right, because we need to keep going till the end all the time. We can't rest on our laurels at all. Even if you're down to 10 men and you've got a 2-goal advantage, you cannot rest on your laurels. Yeah, and that's what we did yesterday.
100%. And I think, and I'm glad that Conte said himself that he was to blame, because I don't want him to take some criticism away from himself, because I did think he was a bit to blame, so I'm happy about that. But bring on the phone one more time as well, just so we can see from yesterday. This is the average position of all the players yesterday. As you can see there on the right hand side, that's Sonny furthest forward, and that makes a big difference to when you compare his position when we played Arsenal a few weeks ago. It was really deep. It was like almost inside his own half. That's where Sonny is at his best, a bit more central, and our furthest forward player playing on the last line. You can see Kane pretty near him as well. Maybe more over to the right hand, to the left hand side than you expect, Harry Kane, which is what clearly Conte was demanding. Richarlison was also not as far forward as Heung-min Son, but I think Sonny, that's been one of his biggest problems this season, why he hasn't been so involved. He's been a lot of the time a bit too far wide and a bit too deep. Last season, when he was at his best, he was very central, and he was very far forward, and he was playing pretty much as on the last line, and he got back to that yesterday, and I think against Brighton as well it was very similar. So I'm very happy he's starting to pick up those positions again, and that's when he looks most dangerous, and he's looking at his sharpest again, which I'm really happy.
I think that was his best performance by some way of the season so far, when you're looking at his performance yesterday, because I know he came on and scored a hat-trick against Leicester, but this one, from once we took our dominance, he was looking to hurt them every time he got the ball. Every time he got the ball, he was looking to make those runs. He looked like he had a couple more yards of pace about him yesterday as well. And that link up with Harry Kane was there for all to see. I mean, in terms of the goals yesterday, that first goal, lovely bit of movement from Harry Kane to slot it through to Heung-min Son, and Sonny with a lovely, cool, calm and collected finish into the bottom corner. But that volley, Sonny's second goal, man, what a goal. Because Højbjerg kind of cocked it up a little bit, but then he won the ball back. I think, or even Emerson won the ball back and then played it to Højbjerg. What a lovely cross, pinpoint to find Heung-min Son, and that volley. How sweet did he catch that volley yesterday, Sonny?
Unbelievable on his left foot. Wade just watched it drop, and there was unstoppable strike from Heung-min Son, and it was a brilliant team goal as well. I think Richarlison did really well in the build-up to that goal to get it to Højbjerg as well.
Oh, it was Richarlison, yeah.
Yeah, and Højbjerg, I thought obviously capped off another marvellous performance with an assist, and now that's 4 games in a row, 4 home games in a row. He's got an attacking return, and we spoke about at the beginning of the season the need for one of our midfielders to start contributing a bit more to the attack, and Højbjerg seems to be the one who's doing that for us, and it's really, really positive because we've seen for Denmark that he can be pretty effective in the final third when given the opportunity, and he's starting to do that now with Tottenham this season, and that's another assist off the back of a few assists. He got an assist against Leicester, he got a goal against Fulham, so he's starting to really contribute in the attacking third, and it was a brilliant cross into Human-Son. Can't take anything away from that, and a brilliant run as well down the right hand side. But yeah, what an unbelievable volley from Human-Son on his so-called weaker foot. Absolutely fantastic from him, and it was a brilliant goal, and obviously went 3-1 up, and it looked like we were in full control at that point. Obviously, we had the penalty, which I don't know why he had to go to VAR for that. It was a clear penalty.
He looked at it for so long as well.
I don't know why it was. Yeah, he had a good few watches of it, but it was obviously going to be given. And I think, to be fair, Kane doesn't get enough credit for winning that penalty as well, because I think he beat 2 or 3 players, bundling himself into the penalty area, and then he earned that penalty. So anyone saying like he only, obviously he scored the penalty, but anyone saying that's all he contributed or anything like that, I thought he earned that penalty himself. And he deserved it. Yeah,
no, I completely agree. I thought, but apart from the penalty, like I said before, I thought he was the hub of the team yesterday. Harry Kane, really good performance. But back on Højbjerg for a second, you talk about him like really contributing going forward now, and you know it makes like comparisons to maybe Granit Xhaka this season, where he's really stepped it up and he's contributing going forward, where the whole of the Premier League is talking about, well, a lot of people are talking about Granit Xhaka at the moment, about how good of a season he's having. Why is Højbjerg not really getting the praise that he deserves from maybe outside of Tottenham right now?
Couldn't tell you. He deserves it. I think he's been one of the most consistent and effective central midfielders in the league this season. I think he's been absolutely phenomenal. He always does the dirty work off the ball. That's never been in question. That's never been in doubt. And I think obviously he did that again yesterday. I thought off the ball again he was phenomenal. He's such a good shield for that back three. I think obviously when times last season when he did have people like Winks next to him, there were times where he was struggling, but always when he's had a solid partner next to him who can help him out defensively, he never really looks overrun. But this season, he's really stepping up in all facets of the game, and I don't think he's had a bad game this season. He's been really, really strong. I just think maybe it's the style of football we play doesn't lend to much praise, I guess, and that's why you see Arsenal playing free-flowing football and Xhaka putting in good performances. Naturally, he's going to get more praise, but I think Højbjerg deserves just as much praise this season, if not more, with the level of performance he's been showing this season. I think he's been phenomenal, and I'm so happy with him. Still, a lot of people made up their minds about Højbjerg ages ago. Now, some people sticking to their guns, but at the moment, you can't say anything bad about him. He's just been fantastic this season. The only thing I would say about Højbjerg is maybe he needs to have this kind of level of performance. I wouldn't say he's been bad against the big teams, but maybe going forward, I haven't seen him contribute against one of the better teams yet, like get a goal or an assist or something against one of the really good teams. Maybe that's what you could argue, but I think at the moment he's playing really, really well and consistently well as well. There's been a bit of a debate. Has he been our player of the season so far this season? For me, I mean, if you're looking at the candidates, he's definitely up there as a very strong candidate. I know it's only 9 games in the Premier League, but I can't think of too many more consistent performers so far than Højbjerg for us.
Yeah, I mean, Harry Kane, with the goals he's scored so far in the Premier League, it's hard not to give it to him. But I think it's between those two, between Harry Kane and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. But when you're talking about performances from minute 1 to minute 90 and game by game, I think Højbjerg probably edges it, to be honest. I know Kane's getting the goals, but Højbjerg, the job that he does for the team week in, week out, we're starting to give him 8s and 9s pretty much every single week now, and that's testament to how well he's playing. So I would actually give it to Højbjerg so far, player of the season so
Yeah,
far.
I agree. I think he's been our most consistent performer, and I just think people still. I think there are some people who still just kind of won't get out of their mind that they've rated him badly, and they can't stand that he's good. But the fact of the matter is, he's been brilliant, and I think people should acknowledge that.
Yeah, completely agree. A couple more players I want to talk about. First one, Richarlison. I thought he was really good yesterday, Richarlison. I thought we really saw finally his link-up play turn up yesterday. I thought he was linking up really well with Kane, Son, the midfield, the wing-backs as well. Could have got a goal yesterday. I mean, there was that chance in the early stages of the game.
Yeah, the keeper would have been very disappointed if that went in.
Yeah, but, you know, he made the mistake. So, I mean, Richarlison, all he needed to do was nod it into the back of the net. But, look, apart from that, I thought he did a really solid job for the team yesterday, Richarlison.
Yeah, and I think, as you say, his link-up play, one of my biggest criticisms of Richarlison is his imprecision on the ball, and sometimes his first touch can be off, and his passing is definitely something to be desired. But I did actually feel yesterday, to be fair to him, it was a lot better on that right-hand side. He should have had an assist. He was very unlucky not to have an assist when he did really well down that right-hand side to beat, I think it was Ndika, got beyond him, then plays a brilliant ball across the face of goal to Sessegnon on the back post. Then Sessegnon, I don't know if it was more, I don't know if maybe the defender got a touch on it or not, but Sessegnon to finish, obviously forced a good save out of Trap. Should have really got a goal
Who
there.
had a really good game, by the way, Trap. Trap made a number of good saves yesterday.
He did. Apart from that horrible mistake he had right at the beginning, he had a very good game. And I think Richarlison was actually linking up with Emerson really well. More Richarlison to Emerson than Emerson to Richarlison, but I thought he was really good in that sense, actually finding Emerson in really good positions. Only slight down thing is that he went off with a bit of an injury, and that's what Conte said, which is interesting because
said he should be back for Everton though.
Yeah, but I thought it was interesting because when he went off, he didn't seem like he wanted to come off. So it's interesting that Conte
That's
said
just
he
his
has,
character though, isn't it?
Yeah, he seemed though he's very disappointed to come off. So whether he's disappointed because he's injured or he seemed like he wanted to stay on, but maybe that is just his character. But I thought on the right hand side it was much better than we've seen over the past few weeks from Richarlison. So I was very happy with that. Yeah, for sure, much improved.
Hugo Lloris. I mean, when are we going to talk about that Hugo Lloris save? Because it was absolutely sensational. Fingertips to get it over the bar. And you know what? Like people, whenever Hugo Lloris makes a mistake, everyone comes here on their numbers talking about Lloris. It's time to pick his successor. This, that. But when he makes saves like that, you don't really hear it that often. So I think it's right to give him the praise that he deserves yesterday. Because I thought not only that save, but I thought he had a really strong display yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, people were complaining about the second goal that he could have done that, you know, he spilled it for the corner. Yeah, it wasn't his finest moment, but at the end of the day, all it cost was a corner. I know they scored from a corner, but when you're playing against 10 men, you should never, ever be conceding a set piece against 10 men. Never, because you're outnumbering the opposition in the box. So something's gone wrong from organisation standpoint if the opposition are scoring when they have 10 men from a set piece. So you can't blame that on Hugo. But yeah, look, he did spill the shot, and he'll be disappointed with that. But at the end of the day, like, if they didn't score from the corner, no one says anything, no one remembers it. It's just because they scored from the corner that people are bringing it up.
And let's be honest, that's the Emerson's defending why they did score from that corner. I mean,
and why they got the corner as well.
Why they got the corner, why they scored from the corner. I mean, Emerson's frustrated me so much yesterday. I mean, there were a couple of times when Emerson just got easy balls played for him and he just let it run out for throw-ons and gave away possession so easily. I mean, defensively, for the most part, he was all right. But I think that that chance, when they scored that corner, that was his man. He was nowhere to be seen. He needs to be stronger defensively there. He's the one that gave away the corner quite stupidly. Going forward, he was nowhere to be seen for the most part. There was a couple of good. I mean, for Emerson, it was really like the good, the bad, the ugly, really, yesterday, wasn't it? A bit of good, mostly bad, and a lot of ugly.
People were saying by Emerson's standards, it was a good performance by Emerson. And I think for me, I think he was average again. Look, I don't think it was one of his worst displays, but again, he just leaves you wanting more because there's not enough quality there. He did put one good cross in right at the end of the first half, which Romero's header. Yeah. Forced a good save out of Trap again, and that was, he nearly had an assist. But again, how many times does he get into the final third? He gets to the byline or he gets to the penalty area, and the quality just isn't there, time after time after time. And look, that's just what you're going to have to put up with Emerson, unfortunately, because he just doesn't have that quality. But it's not even a case of sometimes he's improving. I think he's a decent dribbler. I think he's got good pace. He can cover a lot of ground, but when he gets in those positions, he's consistently letting the side down, and that's the most frustrating thing. Defensively, I thought it was okay, apart from obviously the corner moment.
But what really frustrates me are those moments where he just lets the ball run out of play, like under no pressure whatsoever. It's just so frustrating.
Yeah, he's a very frustrating player because you know he potentially has more to his game, but again, I just think we're going to have to put up with him until probably the summer, and then we'll see. We'll reassess it then. But I don't think he's going any. Obviously, I don't think he's going away from the lineup anytime soon, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're probably right. But on the other side, Ryan Sessegnon, I think he's really coming along now. You're really seeing the influence that Antonio Conte has on Ryan Sessegnon. I still want to see a bit more from him going forward, and in the final third, I want to see some good moments from him. I thought maybe he sometimes is left a bit wanting in those areas of the pitch. But what I'm really noticing about Ryan Sessegnon is how he's really able to physically impose himself on attackers now. I'm really seeing a difference in his defensive work, and really being able to win the ball back consistently and drive up the pitch.
Yeah, and he's quite good at getting to the back post as well. He does it a few times a game. He's a lot better than Emerson for sure at doing that, and he's much more of a threat. And then there was another good display from him. Perisic wasn't selected for the second game in a row, whether it's because Conte maybe he's preferring Sessegnon. Maybe he thinks Sessegnon is playing better at the moment. There's a good argument for it, but he preferred Sessegnon again in this game, and I thought he again backed up Conte's decision with another really good display on the left hand side off the back of a given man of the match against Brighton. So very positive for Sessegnon. Could have got on the score sheet. Could have got a couple of assists as well. Was a bit unlucky, but yeah, I agree with you. Physically, he's really starting to cover a lot of ground on that left-hand side, and we know that this left wing-back spot is his favourite position. That's one that suits him the most, and we're starting to see that now with Sessegnon. I still think he's got levels to go up, but he's starting to really consistently. He's showing why Conte is not afraid to rotate him with Perisic, and like he's pretty comfortable with that. As opposed to other positions where he, in centre mid, he's not yet comfortable rotating a centre mid, centre back. He's still not quite comfortable rotating Dyer and Romero. But when it comes to left wing back, he's happy rotating Sessegnon and Perisic. He's happy with both of them, and this is why. Yeah,
and then obviously it comes to the latter stages of the game. We're coming under a bit of pressure. We go up the other end. We get a penalty from lovely work from Bryan Gil, by the way. Well, kind of half good.
Yeah.
I mean, he got the ball in good area. He lost the ball kind of tripping over his feet kind of thing, but then they just give him the ball back with a stupid back heel, whatever it was. But that skill to get in the box and win that penalty from Bryan Gil was brilliant. It was really brilliant. Literally turn that defender inside out. Wins the penalty really well. And then Harry Kane steps up and he blazes it over the bar. His second missed penalty this season already, which is actually unbelievable. I've never seen him take a penalty as bad as that one yesterday, which really would have sealed the game for us and would have taken away all those fears that we had going into the final embers of the game.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously we needed, and after that we nearly conceded, but thankfully the shot on target, Lloris was able to see it. But that penalty, Conte said the reason why he missed it is because he did a lot of running through the game. He was very tired, and you could see maybe how tired he was with not just that penalty, but also that moment just after the penalty when he just had to square it to Bryan Gil and he completely
kept delaying the pass as well. Like he could have passed that so much earlier than he did, and he kept delaying it. Then he finally got it in, and it was just over his head.
Yeah, I think maybe it was tiredness, which led to it, because it was really late in the game, and he had done a lot of running during the game. So you could put it down to that, but very unlike Harry Kane to blaze a penalty over the bar like that. It was quite a way over the bar as well. Was not a good effort.
Still seen in orbit right now.
Yeah,
apparently
it was a bit crazy. I've never really seen Kane do that to that extent, so he'll be disappointed with that. But look, I don't think it overshadows what in general was a very good game from him and a very good performance. He'll be annoyed. He'll probably be kicking himself that he missed a penalty, another opportunity to get on the score sheet, but you just put it down to one of those things, I think, at that moment, and is what it is. But yeah, talking about Bryan Gil, he had a bit of a mixed cameo for me. I think what he did well, he was like Like he was industrious. The way he won the penalty was very impressive. But also a few moments that frustrated me. First of all, just before the penalty, he was played through by Kane and he couldn't get it right. He got stumbled over his feet. And there was a moment where he had to play a simple through ball to Lucas Moura, really simple, and he got it completely wrong. He got it wrong. The direction of the pass was off, and all of a sudden, Frankfurt had possession again, and that could have been a moment where he could have bagged himself an assist. It wasn't his fault. Kane didn't square it early enough to him, but that must have been frustrating for him. Could have had a chance to get on the score sheet, but again, too many times he's getting out muscled off the ball, and for him it's like almost as if he can't get too close to anyone, because if he gets too close to anyone, they're just going to muscle him away, and he's too easy to get off the ball. So that's something that we know he has to work on. Promising signs with the penalty and everything, but it's still a bit frustrating that it's too easy to muscle off the ball.
We need to send him to the Bayern school of getting hench or something, because he definitely needs to bulk up. But there's definitely a player in there, man. 100% there's a player in there. The guy's got so much talent. All he needs to do is bulk up a bit, get used to the English game, and I think he can be a real asset to us. I mean, with the ball at his feet, it's very hard to get the ball off him unless you do muscle him off the ball, because he's got such quick feet. He's so direct as well. And I kind of feel like sometimes he's just trying a bit too hard, Brian Hill, and that's what leads to a few more mistakes. So I think he just needs to calm down a little bit, and really just take a bit more time on the ball to think about what you want to do with it next. And I think he'll be an asset for us. Yeah. I really like Brian Hill.
I sympathise with that though, because whenever he gets on the pitch, he has like 5 minutes, isn't he? He never has much time, so he wants to do something with it. And he's an attacking flair player. He doesn't want to come on and just track his fullback and defend.
He wants to make a difference.
Exactly. That's I can understand that as an attacking player who rarely gets the opportunity to play. You want to show what you can do when you get on the pitch, but unfortunately, it is a team game, and sometimes because of that neediness to kind of want to show something, prove yourself, he can become a bit of a liability sometimes when he keeps losing the ball and trying things, and it's unfortunate. But the reality is, it's because he's only getting so much time on the pitch, and I feel sorry for him on that aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, if Kane actually slots that penalty yesterday, we're all talking about how Hill, won us that game pretty much with how he won that penalty. So I think that he deserves credit for the way he came on and played yesterday, Brian Hill. I think it was better than when he came on out in Germany, where literally every time he got it, he was muscled off the ball. But even in that game in Germany, you saw signs of him really getting the ball in that corner flag, beating a few men. I mean, he can take it past people for fun with the talent he has, and that's a credit to him. And I think he just needs to channel that talent in the right way, go Antonio Conte's way, beef up a little bit, bulk up a little bit, and I think we'll have a player on our hands.
Yeah, 100%, 100% right, and I agree with that. He just needs more gym work. One other player to mention, Romero again. I think he's improving game on game, and I think this was even better than his last 2 games as well. Another really strong showing, so that was really positive. Other than that, I think overall it was a very strong. I
thought Longley was good as well yesterday.
Longley, his passing again into the front 2 really allowed good attacking situations as we attack the space. I thought he was again a very positive showing from Clement Longley. So look, we're top of the group after Marseille beat Sporting. It's a very, very positive result, and I think very positive performance. It's just it's just soured by those last 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, apart from the first 10 and the last 10, it was total domination from Spurs yesterday. And I think for the most part, in those moments, we played really well yesterday. In the group now, our destiny is in our own hands now. And if we go and beat Sporting, who had 2 men sent off, by the way, so both of them are going to be suspended for our game. If we go beat Sporting, that's more or less us through, or we're definitely through if we beat them.
We are. No, I thought we had to beat them by 2 goals, but actually looking at the table, I got it wrong. My maths was wrong. If we win, we're through.
Yeah. Because
they're on 6 points, and we're a point ahead of them on 7. So we'll be 4 points ahead of them if we win. And with Frankfurt on 4 still, they can't finish above us if we win. So obviously we might be able to finish second if Marseille beat us on the final day. But if we beat Sporting, that's it.
Yeah.
And I think if we beat Sporting and Marseille don't beat
we're
Frankfurt,
top.
that's it. We're top going to where it's over. So we're in a very good situation. It's pretty much just have to win, just have to beat Sporting, and that's it. We're done, and that's a good situation to be in. I think. Especially given our home form. I think 100% record under Conte this season. I think someone posted in our group chat yesterday, I think we've won 11, we've won our last 11 home European games as well. So very strong at home in Europe. So I think...
Don't bring up the away form.
Forget the away form. We're playing at home. We're playing at home. That's the main thing. So Sporting as well had 2 red cards. Yesterday against Marseille. So they're going to be out for the game next week in 2 weeks' time. So a lot of stuff in our favour. Obviously, can't take it for granted. Sporting obviously are going to be fighting for their lives, needing a result.
They'll be kicking themselves after the way they started this group to be in the situation they're in. Yeah,
100%. But we have to just be confident that our home form can take us through. And we've made the lane into a bit of a fortress. We have made it into a fortress, but one thing maybe to discuss is I've seen a few fans on social media complaining about the atmosphere yesterday and why it's wasn't maybe as intense or as loud as we want it to be. And I thought it was maybe something interesting to discuss. Someone said, this guy AH on Twitter says, let's be honest, the South Stand is finished. They ruined it by putting 1882 across the middle. Best place is now going to be Paxton Lower. If the right-minded can all come together, it can be made to be like the old White Hart Lane South Stand. What do you put it down to? Why the atmosphere yesterday was a bit subdued yesterday?
I don't know. I can't put my finger on it.
Is it
but
the expensive ticket prices?
Could be, but I mean, it's the same. It's the same week in, week out. It really is.
Martin
apart from
Cloak says there was 7,000 empty seats yesterday.
Yeah, and you could see it visibly on the top of the West and the top of the East stand. There were loads of empty seats, and I was listening to Talk Sport. Someone called in and spoke about it, and they said those tickets up there cost £95.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
£95. I mean, where we were in the South Stand, £65.
Bad enough.
And that's bad enough. But to go up there for a group stage game against Frankfurt, I get it if it was against Barcelona, Real Madrid, one of these big teams, fine, £95. You'll pay the money to go see that game. But with the current climate, and everyone's struggling for money right now, you don't need to charge £95 for those seats.
Especially when they're so high
ridiculous.
Up. When it's
just greed. All it is greed.
Those are those cheapest tickets. So why are they so expensive? Because it's on the halfway line. But it doesn't make sense to me.
It's absolute greed. But I thought that the atmosphere was shocking yesterday. It picked up once we got that equaliser. Fans started to sing. But I've been talking to you about the atmosphere at Spurs for a long time now. This is not a new thing that we're going through, and Spurs fans need to take a look at themselves, to be honest, because we all need to come together and we need to start acting as that 12th man, as Conte keeps saying that we need to be doing, and we're just not doing that at the moment. And Spurs just wait for us to go in the lead or get that equaliser before we start singing. But we need to start singing from the off, and maybe that will help us start games better.
I think a lot of it is to do with the prices that are being charged. It leads to an older demographic of fan who are less likely to have the energy to be chanting all the time and getting up and standing.
Spurs just have an older demographic of fan anyway.
Yeah, but it doesn't help when the prices are that expensive. You can't expect younger fans to be able to afford £95 tickets, even £65 tickets. And also when you plonk the most expensive tickets, the 1882 seats, right in the centre of the South Stand, then that's what you're going to get. You're going to get older fans sitting in the middle of a South Stand, not creating the atmosphere that we want in that South Stand. It's supposed to be a wall of sound. So I think the pricing structure at the moment is wrong at Tottenham. I think they need to take a look at that and to help improve the atmosphere. And that's, I think, the main cause as to why we're seeing more subdued atmospheres at the moment in home games. Obviously, it was brilliant when we played Arsenal, but other than that, recently it just hasn't been brilliant, and that's the best way I can think to change it is to try and get younger fans in those areas.
But the thing is, it's not just home games. I'm noticing at away games as well. I mean, away games, £30 a ticket. You know what I mean? And we're still seeing like the away game demographic is still like kind of on the older side of things. When you're looking at teams like, I hate to say
loyalty points.
I get that, but it's not just loyalty points though, because 15-20% go to corporate now, and they're all a much older demographic, and they're not really the ones that are going to come and sing and stuff like that. So Spurs have ruined it a bit in that sense, where they favour giving tickets to the people that pay the most money. But when you're looking at, I hate myself for saying it, but Arsenal fans are absolutely, providing a great atmosphere at home and away.
It's because they're catering more to the younger fans.
On a weekly basis. And you can see at Arsenal, like, it's a much younger demographic of fan. And I don't know what it is. Is it old Spurs fans just like trying to hold on to the glory days, trying to see a trophy before they stop going and stuff? I don't know.
They're catering to the younger fans, Arsenal. That's what they're doing. You can see it with those people who wear black. I don't know what they're called, but
the Ashburton Army.
Yeah, they're catering to them. They're making sure that everyone's continuing the atmosphere, and the atmosphere is everyone's loud and stuff like that. Spurs aren't so interested in doing that. When they sell those seats, the 1882 right in the middle of the South Stand, they're selling. They're basically using the South Stand as, they're not concentrating on creating an atmosphere. They're more concentrated on selling the atmosphere as an experience to these older fans. It's like, come look at this atmosphere, but they're not actually concentrating on creating the atmosphere, and that's a big problem.
Yeah. Completely agree. And we said this when they did it right at the beginning, like, everyone's going about this wall of noise this wall of noise that, but if you're going to plump corporate right in the middle of the wall of noise, you're not going to get a wall of noise, and that's just the facts of the matter.
And I said that when I had a meeting with last year. We had a meeting with Donna Cullen, and I mentioned that to her, and the response I got was, because I said we should be concentrating on creating a better atmosphere, and the response I got was, the fans of 1882 are just as much fans of anyone else, basically.
But that's not the point, though.
And that's the response I got.
That's not the point.
Which I was disappointed with.
The point, that's completely not the point of the point you were trying to make. They could sit anywhere in the stadium. No one's saying they shouldn't be coming to games. Everyone's got a right to go to a game, but they shouldn't. Exactly. If you want to sit in corporate, go sit in the West Stand. Do you know what I mean? Go sit in the boxes in the East Stand. There's boxes all around the stadium. If you want to, we want to create an atmosphere here. We're not here to sell prawn sandwich brigade to the prawn sandwich brigade. Do you know what I mean? Week in, week out. It's so frustrating. We need to go and we need to create a proper atmosphere week in, week out, because it's getting kind of boring to sit in the stands at Spurs at the moment, because there's just no kind of party atmosphere. There's no constant singing, and it's very frustrating, not going to lie.
All right, I just thought I'd bring that up.
All right, but there you go. That is our match preview from the match review from the 3-2 win against Frankfurt. The group, our fate is in our own hands now. All we need to do is beat Sporting Lisbon in a couple of weeks' time, and we are through to the next round of the Champions League.